policing. But coming up next year, there'll be 2 more issues that are important that directly relate to reentry. And that's going to be the election of the sheriff and the election of the district attorney. We've been actually honored today to have Spencer Merriweather, who will be being sworn in as acting DA as soon as Andy Murray is confirmed to be judge. But there are a few things that we're hoping. There are a few things that we were hoping that a person like Spencer that would fill the job of DA would be considering, and most of those are things that revolve around the signs that you have, and that's making reentry a second chance and not an obstacle. And what we've seen, not just in Charlotte, but around the country, that if you do come out of prison, or even if you didn't go to prison, but you were convicted, that second-class citizenship is pretty much similar to slavery. You know, the only thing that was allowed after slavery as part of the 13th Amendment was to be able to lock somebody up for having a record, for taking away their rights for being in prison. So as things progressed, then the society progressed, but they still needed a form of free labor and a form of free enterprise. So even though at the district attorney's level, he won't be able to get rid of prisons, he or she should be able to do things that would impact people with records lives. What we do know is there's fines, there's arrest, and these things are issues that directly impact people with a criminal record. Broken windows policing, for instance. A lot of people are introduced to the prison system through broken windows policies, which the district attorney could have an integral part in changing. So that's one thing that you want to look at. Also, something that's major here in Charlotte is deferred prosecution. And I know that our commissioner, Pat Coughlin, who's been one of our champions, and I see other people here that have fought around deferred prosecution. That's a major issue that hopefully the DA will be able to look at. And that is, you have the ability to be able to have your charges dropped or have a lighter sentence, but you got to complete a program and there's a fee that's attached to it. Well, a lot of us don't have that fee, and you can't get bond, or you can't get out of jail, or you can't get what you, for a barrier of about $200 and some. We do know that our former district attorney, Andy Murray, said, well, if you're concerned about it, maybe all these activist groups can help and come up with the money. Well, that sounds good, maybe we could, but I can't raise enough money, you can't raise enough money to permanently make sure that people that should be getting a second chance can't get a chance through deferred prosecution. Right. So that's something else that when we get a new DA that you're going to be wanting to look at. So if I were y'all, I would be pushing for an end of broken windows policing, things like fines and arrests for small fractions like loitering, open container, those type of issues. I'd be looking for the DA to weigh in on things like deferred prosecution. What are you willing to do around deferred prosecution? And I'd also be looking for a DA that does not mind having a voice that maybe sometimes doesn't agree with the police chief, because the police chief is not an elected official, the district attorney is. I'd look for a DA that if he believes that 287G and secure communities and these type of things shouldn't be in our city, even though the sheriff has some of that control, the DA can weigh in. I'd be looking for a DA that would be a strong opponent to that and willing to also go to battle against the sheriff. So I'm not speaking for Spencer, but I am glad you showed up. These are some of the issues that we think are important, and I do actually thank you for actually coming and standing here with us, because I don't think Andy Murray's ever come to stand anywhere with us. But that's all that I have for right now.
So this is Gemini Boyd, and he will tell you a little bit about his story and where he is today.
Hello, how y'all doing?
Okay.
There's one thing I want to do before we get started, since we all out here for one purpose, right? When I say, what are we here for? Y'all say second chance. What are we here for?
Second chance.
What are we here for?
Second chance.
Okay, now that we got that out the way, I'm going to tell you about how I got a second chance. I was recently released from federal prison. I did 20 years in federal prison. I had a 50-year sentence due to the drug laws. Under President Barack Obama, the drug laws were changed from 100 to 1 to 18 to 1, and I received a 2-point reduction. And I could go on a long story about any of that, but y'all wouldn't understand none of the stuff I would talk about from a legal standpoint. But I'm born and raised right here in Charlotte, North Carolina. I was incarcerated in 1996. I received 50 years. I received 30 years for conspiracy, and I received 20 years for a gun. And in both of the charges, there was no evidence. There was no gun, there was no drugs. It was all about, oh, he had this or he had that. And these are some of the things that has affected our communities right now to this day. Because it has affected us because the next mayor we get is going to talk to you about re-entering people needing housing. This is going to be a big topic right here. Believe me when I tell you. But what you don't know in the criteria about when they talk about housing, if you've had a criminal record, you can't get this housing. So who are they getting the houses for? They're going to tell you that, oh yeah, we've already started on it. We got a plan where we're going to put together 5,000 houses. And after that, Wells Fargo, Bank of America, and everything else is going to donate the money for another 5,000. So we'll have 10,000 houses together. But who are they going to move in them? None of us. And some of us that need a second chance, that are actually out here doing the right thing, we can't get any of these housing. You got people that's working for the city of Charlotte right now living in motels. That should never be that way. They work for this city, they clean this city, they do things for this city, and they have nowhere to go. When they get paid with their check for the little bit of money that they have nothing after they get paid on Friday. You know, but the one thing that us as people who has the right to vote, know who you're voting for. Don't just go in there and check a box just because it say vote. Do some research on these individuals. Get behind the right person. The right person that's speaking for individuals that are coming home from prison. Because when I came home from prison, there was nothing for me. They had nothing. I was offered nothing. They just keep me out the prison door after doing 240 months straight with nothing in my pocket. But yet and still you expect me to succeed. How can I succeed when I have nothing? But only because I have a strong mind and a strong will and a strong understanding of life, I shall succeed. Because I refuse to go back. That's why I'm out here marching every day, all day for individuals that are standing in front of me, individuals that are left behind. I'm marching for them. I'm trying to build a platform for them for when they come home. Because the individual just wants to come home and be able to support and live for himself. He don't want to come home and have you give him nothing. He or she wants to earn everything that they're entitled to earn. But if they don't have a second chance to do so, how can they earn it? They can't. They will be refused. They will be kicked back out into society. And when they go back out in society, what will they do? Come to your house, your house, your house, and your house, steal your car, your car, your car, your car, and then go get your child, your child, and your child, and pump drugs in them, give them guns, and give them this. But if we build a platform, because in order for us to stop violence, we must build people out of a 300 credit score and put them in a 700. See if they be standing out here doing something illegal. They would not. They will be doing what's right. Trust and believe that. When they had this march down here and they was tearing up downtown Charlotte, they was tearing it up because they were crying. They were hurting. That's right. We got two Charlottes. You got a Charlotte over here in Ballantyne, a Charlotte over here in South Park, and then you got Bettysford Road, Sugar Creek, Lakeview, West Boulevard, and those areas. And those are the areas that are affected every day, all day. But the people that sit over here on this side of town, they don't worry about none of that stuff. So we have to know who we are voting for. Don't let these people put out these ads and tell y'all all this garbage and they're not doing the right thing for somebody. Because 9 times out of 10, if you're black or Hispanic in America, you are infected by incarceration. Whether you know it or not. Whether it's your family member or your friend, some way, somehow, you are affected by incarceration. And we have to save our children. Because our children are affected by incarceration because they suffer from post-incarcerated syndrome. And that's come from watching individuals go in and out of jail. So as they are 5, 6, 7 years old, they think it's their birthright to go to prison when they turn 15 to 16. That's true. So we have to change the mindset and we have to change all of it. But we must do more stuff like this. Don't walk away from here today and not be willing to make a change some way, somehow. Because individuals like me just want a chance. I ain't asking you for nothing. Because I'm going to earn mine and I'm going to go get mine. But individuals just need a second chance. So let's please stay focused on who we are voting for. It is very important in Charlotte, North Carolina right now. Thank you.
very sensitive. A little bit. You don't have to get up.
Okay, so Gemini said it all. He said it all. I was sentenced to life in prison for a drugless drug crime. I did 21 years. Had it not been for President Obama granting me clemency, I would still be inside. I came home last year. The same struggles that he spoke of, I went through. Housing took me 14 months to find a place to stay. Now, I was invited to the White House, and I spoke with President Obama. He took us out to lunch, and we sat down and we talked about reentry issues. And my issues were housing at the time. And so he went back and he kind of reviewed HUD. And in his statement, he said that black and brown people are the ones that are being affected by not being allowed to gain housing through HUD. And he told them to reconsider so that we would be able to, otherwise it's considered discrimination. So I called HUD. HUD told me it's not discrimination and I would have to go through the same process everyone else goes through. This ought not be. Again, Gemini said, I don't want you to give me anything. Just give me that second chance to come out here and do what I need to do in order to live free, rejoin society, and be productive in what I'm doing and make a difference. Now, women in prison, this was the main topic or the main subject we would hear when we would call home and talk to our children. Why are you acting out in school? Well, mommy, my son told me this. I thought that if I was bad enough that they would send me to be with you in prison. Oh, wow. Okay, so this is what's being embedded in our children. How can we fix that? We need to fix that. We need to make changes. Yes, who are we going to vote for this year? Unfortunately, I can't vote. Who's going to vote for me? Who's going to stand up for me and be my voice when it's time to cast your ballot? Who's going to stand there and say, you know what? You're not speaking. You're not going to do what these people need done for them in this community. I'm going to vote against you and support this because I believe they're going to bring about housing. I believe they're going to bring about change. I believe that change is going to happen within this county jail. We're looking in the future to who our new sheriff is going to be. What is the sheriff going to bring to the table? What changes? Why do we have to go over there and speak to someone by a video?
Right. Right.
It's taken away our humanity. It's taken away that physical contact. In prison, you embrace for 2 seconds and that's it. That's it. So coming out here, a lot of you, when I see you, I'm gonna hug you. Because for 21 years, I was denied hugs. I am human. I love. I want to be loved. And I want to be a voice for those, my sisters that I left behind. We travel the country, the National Council, and we travel the country and we talk about how many women are in prison and why they're there. They're there because 90% of the time, their case is connected with a man. Domestic violence. And so we're not given that opportunity to really present our case, our cause. I had hospital records and police records. The jury never heard that. They never seen the evidence. But yet I was found guilty, not because I sold drugs, but because I was there, because I knew. These laws have to change. Thank you for supporting us. Again, I need someone to be my voice next week during the election time. I need someone to be my voice next year during the election time until my rights are restored and until I can go and be my own voice for my own self. I don't like people speaking for me. I like to speak for myself because only I can communicate what needs to be said. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ramona. We're going to have one speaker, Rodney. No, you don't? I'm good. All right. And then after Rodney, I'll speak and then we're done.
Hey everybody, thank y'all for coming out here.
Hey, Rodney.
I'll make this real quick. Gemini, longtime friend of mine, met him in prison when I was just in the middle of everything. Now I'm gonna tell y'all about where I came from first, and I'm gonna tell you where I'm at. I came to prison in 1999 on a federal indictment for 240 years, May the 5th, 1999, and I got out June 25th, 2012. That's 13 years, 1 month, and 19 days. And I'm gonna make this real quick. The federal government, I went to trial against them. Nobody beats the feds, not Martha Stewart, not Bernie Madoff, nobody. But I refused to sit there and tell them what they wanted me to tell them. So I ended up in prison. They sent me to Terre Haute, Indiana, where death row at when they killed Timothy McVeigh when I was up there, and they do all that. Then they sent me down to Petersburg, Virginia some years later. That's where I met Gemini. First day on the compound there, I about lost my life again, about to fight the whole compound because I feel like that I'm fighting the feds already. I didn't have no drug case. They put me on indictment with 24 people that went to trial against me and said that I was a kingpin of a robbery crew. With the people at the store said that they had no mask, but they said it wasn't me. It don't matter in the federal government, because when them marshals stand beside you, like you an animal, and you get on orange uniforms or stripes or whatever you have on, and the jury can cry and every last one of them have to tell you guilty, it doesn't even matter. And I'm gonna tell you what happened as soon as I caught my time. I just made my only child at that time as I was going in. She's 17 now. I got one in the stomach 20 weeks right now, so I'm starting my life overs. But when I came out in 2012, I came out with a huge support system, because from the day that I got locked up, I started studying. I started studying the court system, the law, studying law, Gemini. That's all I'm doing every day. What we're doing now is what I was doing in prison from day one, telling everybody, look, we got to get out here and save these babies. So I came out, went to college, got my bachelor's degree in government. I started my own nonprofit, and it was just a continuation of what I did in prison. And the main reason I'm standing here right now is to let all of y'all know is we got to address the systematic issues. The systematic issues, for instance, by me going through it. The courthouse, public defenders, I'm not talking about any specific one, but I watched thousands of people who had public defenders who didn't move an inch for them. I mean thousands of people, because I talked to everybody, and not one of them moved an inch for anybody. Now, with that being said, we talk about housing. If people like me and Gemini didn't have a support system, we would be in a situation where we might make different decisions. So having a support system, like people coming out and addressing the issues, getting politically involved, that's what I got my degree in government, because I had to understand, how can you have rich cities like Charlotte with billions of dollars, yet they have no programs, real programs, for people that's looking to do better. They you hire 100 more cops and the murder rate goes straight up. It's because you locking all the fathers up at night. When they come out, you don't give them an opportunity, no matter how hard they work. Now, I've been blessed to have a strong support system, like I said, so I've been able to get jobs. I've been able to have housing. I've been able to move along. But for the people that's coming out, 95% of them, the reason recidivism is so high, because once they come out, they figure out that it's only a few slots. And if you don't have a strong support system to keep you afloat until you can make it, they're going right back in. Amen. So that's really all I had to say for everybody who out here. Just, I mean, if you're a good person, just do the right thing, because it's just as criminal to look at something criminal going on as somebody doing something criminal.
So we're going to invite Commissioner Cochran up. I know you want to say a couple words. Thank you so much for coming. Yeah, I understand.
Hello, everyone. I'm Pat Cotham. I'm a county commissioner at large. And you are the reason that I became a county commissioner, because I worked for Eric Ortega, he's back there, at the Center for Community Transitions. I had absolutely no experience. I have to tell you, I had just gone through a divorce, and I had a lot of recruiting experience, and I had a judge contact me and say, you know, I know someone who's looking for hiring a recruiter. So I talked to this woman, and I told her the kind of areas I did, and I said, tell me what kind of work that, tell me what you're looking for. And then she said, people who have a criminal record. And I went like, what? People who have a criminal record? I said, I don't know anything about that, but I'm sure I can help. And I met with her, and I remember saying to her, if you offer me this job, I'm going to take it. And she said, I haven't even told you what it pays. I said, I'm sure it's not much. But I feel like this is what I'm supposed to do. And she did offer me the job, and it didn't pay very much. But it was wonderful, and it opened my eyes. And from that, I also saw mental health problems. I saw homelessness. I saw poverty. I saw dysfunction. I saw children who were struggling. I saw so many things, and those were all the issues that the county handles, whereas the city council, they do different things. So that's why after working there a few years, I ran for county commission. And the whole time I was running, I talked about the Center for Community Transitions, and I said, this is what I'm passionate about. And it was kind of funny, other people who were running, they started saying they were passionate about it. And I said, well, good. But I continue to talk about it. I continue to talk about it every day. And I am in touch with many people who are in prison, and I'm trying to help some people who I know are in prison. And I've gone to court. I'm in the courthouse all the time. Sometimes I'm with the victim, sometimes I'm with the defendant. But I'm there to support that person. And with the help of Robert Dawkins and Corinne Mack of the NAACP, I brought Ban the Box to the county, and that was great.
Right.
That was
Yes.
great. I didn't do it by myself. I was able to work for them. I also worked this past year to raise the age so that kids, because a lot of the people who had been, I met at the Center for Community Transitions, you know, they got their first problem when they were kids, and then they were put in prison. So anyway, we have made accomplishments. You know, we were the last state to do that. I had worked closely with the district attorney and the public defender, and I was struck, I want you to remember this, the public defender, who was not an elected official, his name is Kevin Tully, but he, you know, we often say criminal justice, and he says, I won't say that. I say criminal court because there's not justice.
Right.
And I thought that was, that really struck me when he said that. So I've started to say criminal court. But I am always going to be there advocating for this. I talk about it all the time. And I had a guy at my house that was doing some work, and he's somebody who has been in prison. And if you ever see my campaign signs out during campaign season, and I usually get 1,500 of them out, which is because I have the whole county. They're all put out by guys who have been in prison that I think on charges. And so they're kind of like, nobody's going to be messing with your sign. They say, do you want us to handle anything? I'm like, no, we're good. We're good. But every once in a while they're like, I think somebody's taking your signs. We can handle that. Don't handle it. Here's another sign. Just replace it. But I just wanted you to know I'm with you. And I wanted to just finish up talking about housing. I complained recently. I went to an opening of a new affordable housing that was going to be, you know, have for people of all incomes, and it was all great. And then I found out if you have a criminal record, you can't.
Yeah.
It doesn't work.
Right.
And I'm like, what is the point?
Mm-hmm.
What is the point?
Exactly.
But that is the work we have to do, and a lot of that involves the state, and it also involves like the Realtors Association and the Apartment Association, but a lot of it involves the state. But we have to keep up with that. Now, on the City Council, I am on the County Commission, and there's nobody who advocates as hard as I do on the County Commission. On the City Council, Luana Mayfield, if you know Luana, she's somebody that she and I talk a lot about this. She is another one that advocates. She gets it. She gets it. We have a lot of work to do to educate elected officials. And you know, part of it is a lot of elected officials, they think, can this person vote for me? And we know a lot of them can't. I don't think that way. But
Just by loud, get it?
well,
Well, there you have it, folks.
I don't think that they have done enough on the city council. You know, they talk about building new homes, but they don't say they're tearing down other ones. I don't think we gained anything. They talk about they built 3,000, but when you tear down thousands of affordable ones and then put some up that, you know, cost $200 more a month, I don't know what we're gaining. I keep asking them for net. What do we net gain? I haven't gotten that answer. But I think we have a lot of work to do, and we have to expect more because the data is with us. I remember learning from Eric in North Carolina, the recidivism rate was 64%. But if someone came back and got some training, like at the Center for Community Transitions or Exodus or other places, and they got a job, it was reduced to 11%. So, you know, the numbers are there, you know, and so, but I'm always your fiercest advocate, and anytime there's an event, you know, I was so grateful that Christine told me about this so I could be here, but I wouldn't want to be anyplace else. And I'll be running, next year, I'll be running fierce on this topic, and if you can ever want to reach me, I'll give you my card. And I always say I work for you, and I work for you.
So I want to thank everybody so much for coming out. I really, when we began to plan this, I didn't imagine it would be this many people. I really didn't. And I really appreciate each and every one of you for taking the time out of your schedule to come to march with us, to show your support. And because that's what people such as the speakers that you saw, and including myself, people that have this scarlet letter that they wear every day of a criminal history. Because that's what it feels like. And for me, I know that Charlotte is one of the fastest growing cities, right? And this is one of the fastest growing areas in the United States. But people with criminal histories aren't able to take full advantage of that economic boom. And so we definitely, desperately need people to have livable wage jobs and people to have somewhere they can live. Because we cannot expect people to think about providing security and respect and compassion and being lawful citizens if they are not sure where they're going to eat or where they're going to sleep. It is very difficult to think on higher levels when your basic needs aren't being met. And my own personal story is I was raised in Charlotte, North Carolina, and I was involved in a domestic violence relationship for 8 years where I was seriously injured on several occasions. And as a result of the trauma that I experienced and the inability to cope with the trauma, I turned to drugs. And as a result of me turning to drugs, a crack cocaine addiction that lasted for 8 to 10 years, I, of course, racked up a lot of felonies. And as a result of those felonies, I was placed on probation several times. And I was finally sentenced to a program eventually that helped me out, that is defunct now. It was called Structured Day. Oh, yeah. And Structured Day really helped me structure my day. And I went from being someone who got high, $1,000 habit a day, to someone who became a 4.0 student and graduated with honors from universities. And what I tell people is I have a master's degree today, but McDonald's won't hire me. Yeah. I have a master's degree, y'all. I did what they said do. Yeah. Go to school, change your life, change your environment, change your friends, do the right thing. I did all of that. And I work. Please know I'm a hustler, so I do work. But the jobs that I would like to have, or the jobs that I need to have, are out of reach for me. It's like reaching for something that I'm never going to be able to attain. And just one small caveat. I recently was married within the last couple of years, and so we did what good couples do when they financially plan. We applied for life insurance. And I was denied because I had a criminal history. I couldn't even pay a life insurance company for a policy. They sent my money back for a history for something I did years ago. I have years of sobriety, but yet and still my criminal history affects me and impacts me every single day. I'm able to advocate for myself, and so I do pretty well. I'm here today to talk for the people who don't advocate well for themselves, who don't have everything that I have, who may not be able to speak as eloquently or as passionately as myself, but who have the same exact experiences that I have, who have the same exact hopes that I have. We all just want, as Jim and I said, a chance, a second chance. We don't want you to give us anything, and no one wants you to not hold us accountable. We have to be held accountable, because if we're not held accountable, we can't move on, we can't heal, we can't do better. So it's not about not holding people accountable. It's once they've done what they were supposed to do, upholding our end of the bargain as a society and allowing people to reshape and reform who they are and their visions of themselves. Again, we thank you so much. If you would, go onto the Reentry Partners of Mecklenburg page. If you would send a message with your email address, we'll try to keep everyone updated on what we'll be doing in the future, because we're going to be doing a lot more to stay motivated and to stay activated. We know that we have tried to do this movement in the past and it has failed because the momentum would die. But we're not going to let the momentum die this time. People are going in and out of prison, in and out of jail every day, and they're coming home with nothing. And we can't say that we care about our city if we're not caring about the most underrepresented population of our city, which are people who live with criminal records. Thank you so much. I appreciate everyone for coming. This has been excellent.
Yes, sir.